allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I like the timing on that.
Thank you. We have a note to silence our cell phones, and we have the approval of the agenda. Chair will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Dean has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Morrow. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, carries. Approval of consent agenda.
So moved.
Commissioner
Second.
Morrow. Is there a second?
Second, Ian.
Commissioner Dean has moved. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
It carries. Thank you. Are there any public appearances today? Any public appearances? Seeing none, let's have Heather McCormick from the Finance Office. Please come forward. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I have two items today for your consideration. First item is our regularly quarterly donations. I'm here to present the quarter four donations for approval by resolution. And you will see for quarter four, we received donations for our van services and loan closet. For van services, received American Legion of amount of $300, American Legion, and that was American Legion number 518 of North Mankato. And then there was another American Legion Auxiliary number 510 of $100. Individual donation of $50 from T. Miller, and then various donations. And then we also had various donations for the loan closet for a total of quarter four of $1,285. And I'm looking for approval by resolution.
You've heard the report from the Finance Director. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved, Zins.
Second, Ian.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? How do we encourage people to make these donations, Heather?
For the two areas that we receive regularly, I think that's really directly with our Veteran Services Officer, Nathan Tisch, and then, so those are the regular ones. And then Loan Closet, we get donations for the use of that equipment.
And then we send thank you notes to these folks who are making these contributions.
For van services, I believe that is correct.
Right. Any other questions on this topic? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Zins,
Yes.
Commissioner Dean,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Drannell,
Yes.
Commissioner Kohlers.
Yes, carries. Thank you.
Thank you. For the next item today, I have my agenda item is a public hearing notice for the capital improvement plan for our 5-year period 2023 through 2027. The agenda item is to set that public hearing. Following Minnesota Statute 373.40, Nicollet County will conduct a public hearing for the 5-year plan. I'm requesting the public hearing to occur on Tuesday, February 28th at 9:30 a.m. The purpose of the public hearing will be to review, discuss, and approve the proposed 2023 through 2027 capital improvement plan for Nicollet County. The plan will identify estimated capital expenditures and funding sources for the 5-year period. Having this CIP capital improvement plan will allow county board, administration, and department heads make better financial decisions on the county's capital improvement needs. So I'm looking to set that public hearing.
So you've heard the request for the Tuesday, February 28th meeting. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Drantle, Commissioner Morrow. Discussion on this item? What kind of time frame are we looking at that day, do you think, to discuss?
Like how long the
Right.
discussion? I think last year it was around 15 minutes, depending on questions and discussion. And if we have public appearances as well.
And we've had a brief look at it from our workshop. So, and we're remembering that a CIP is a plan.
Correct. Yes, and when we present that, we will share share that information of that plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Heather? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? It carries. Do you have anything else for us this morning?
Nothing today. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Works, Mr. Greenland.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board and staff. One item from Public Works today, and Mr. Chair, if I may, I got a couple informational items to talk about after this item,
Yes.
if I can do that.
Thank you.
So the first item here from Public Works is to consider final acceptance and payment of our 2022 highway striping project. So every year we restripe a portion of our paved county roads. We typically try to do about half our mileage every year. Sometimes it's a little bit more than half because we will sometimes restripe every year some of our very high traffic volume roads. So this work is complete and done. The final payment amount is $1,248.56. So I'm asking the board today to accept the 2022 highway striping project as complete and authorize that final payment amount to traffic marking services.
All right, you've heard the recommendation from the Public Works Director. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Commissioner Morrow, Commissioner Dean, questions for Mr. Greenwood? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Dean,
Yes.
Commissioner Zins,
Yes.
Commissioner Drannell,
Yes.
Commissioner Colars.
Yes, carries. Thank you.
So one of my informational items revolves around striping and revolves around our retroreflectivity requirements that are set by the Federal Highway Administration. So there is a large manual. It's called the Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices, and it lays out all the guidance for installing highway signs, and it also has requirements on pavement markings. Just recently, Federal Highway has made updates to those requirements on the retroreflectivity standards, and this has come out just really recently. I haven't had a chance to completely digest what the new requirements are, but they are putting more stringent requirements on maintaining minimum retroreflectivity standards on our pavement markings. So there is the potential that with those more stringent standards, we may have to look at using more robust pavement marking materials to maintain those minimum reflectivity standards. But like I said, have some time to have to digest those new requirements a little bit further. But I just want to make the board aware that if some of those requirements require us to do further work, of course, that takes further funds to meet those requirements. So that was my first informational item, and I don't know if you have any questions on that.
Mr. Chair, I have a question. Are you still talking paint, or are you talking more like tape, or what are we talking about?
I'm hoping we don't get to having to do a lot more tape, because tape is fairly expensive. It may require us to use more epoxies and wet reflective type paint markings. And when we get into wet reflective paint markings, it typically requires a little bit more complex machine to apply that material, because they are incorporating and mixing different types of glass beads right into the paint material, which is sprayed out, and then additional glass beads are dropped on top. A lot of the striping that a majority of the striping that we do now is considered just paint striping, where they just drop the glass beads on the paint after the paint is placed down. We've increased probably the longevity of some of our striping, especially on our concrete pavements, because we recess and groove in all the striping on those concrete pavements, and we have been doing wet reflective paint or epoxies on those concrete pavements, because when we can recess that, the snow plows don't grind off the beads as much and the paint, and those beads are really what gives us those retro reflectivity parameters. So, yeah.
Any other questions for Seth on this item?
Mr. Chair, I assume it's the same with all counties and all states. Are we does the county have its own painting, or are we using contractors for that?
No, it takes very specialized equipment to
Right.
do that, and we utilize contractors.
So more than
for
likely,
that.
all of the contractors that are going to be doing are going to be upgrading their equipment because this is obviously a statewide or federal mandate, correct?
Yeah, and most of there's not too many contractors out there. There's only about 2 or 3 in the entire state that do striping work, and they all have the equipment to do these various levels of different types of materials that we apply. Yep. But yeah, the requirements that are coming down from federal highway would apply to cities, counties, MnDOT.
Mr. Chair, I'm just going to follow up if that may, because I'm kind of wondering the same thing, so I had to go on Wikipedia. Because I didn't know, I'd never heard the term retroreflective. And it says, it's not affected by the passage of snowplows. Is that accurate?
Well, I would have to read what you're reading, but retroreflectivity will be affected by snowplows grinding off the
Right, that's
beads
what I
that
was-
provide the retroreflectivity.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also have reflectivity standards even on our highway signage. So when you're driving at night, you see those newer signs and they really shine brightly. That's retroreflectivity. And there's also requirements there that we have to meet. Fun stuff all the time. If there's no more questions on this, I just wanted to give one other update on staffing. We are currently down a heavy equipment operator, maintenance, a mechanic position that we're trying to refill. At the end of this week, we lose a shop foreman, heavy equipment operator, and it appears that I will lose my sign technician and heavy equipment operator in probably the middle of February. They all have left or planning to leave for much higher paying jobs in the private industry. So we have the potential to be down 3 highway maintenance employees with lots of winter to go by yet. So that's causing some additional stress in my department. We have reached out and will be planning on bringing on a temporary basis some of my past retired heavy equipment operators to help fill some of these vacancies temporarily, primarily to help with snow plowing duties. Hopefully Mother Nature is kind to me and we don't have much snow here the rest of the year. So just wanted to give that update.
Are you attracting a good number of applicants?
No.
Why?
We have had our heavy equipment operator mechanic position open for 2 weeks, and we've received 2 applications, and it appears that those applicants haven't met the minimum requirements. We will look further into those applications to see if there's the potential for some learning on the job, but yeah, we're not getting a whole lot of applications. And this is the story that I hear from all my counterparts across the state. Trying to get quality applicants and a good number of applicants has become extremely hard with all the public works positions. When I first started here 15 years ago, it was very common for a heavy equipment operator position to get upwards of 80 applications. Now we have trouble getting 2, 3, or 4 applications for these positions. It's a real issue.
Mr. Chair, if I just might ask, do you have a sense of the rough gap in compensation? I don't want to talk about specific people, obviously.
The one employee that is looking to leave in February was mentioning that he was able to go to a union paid position that would pay almost $12 more than the top range of that classification pay scale. Significant amount.
Yeah, that
Yep.
is.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Landkammer?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the board. I have one item for your consideration beginning on page 28 of your packet. The item I have is a letter of support from Nuvera. Nuvera is a communications company headquartered in New Ulm, Minnesota. Nuvera is in the process of preparing a grant application to expand broadband services within Nicollet County. Approximately $95 million has been set aside for the border-to-border grant program through the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, or DEED. The two previous applications submitted by Nuvera have been approved for grant funds. The one submitted in 2019 was for a proposal along County Road 21 in the Judson Bottom Road in western Nicollet County, and that was approved and has been put in place. And another letter of support was also provided for Nuvera in the spring, summer of 2022 concerning a proposal near County Road 25 in the Minnesota River Valley east of the city of Cortland, and that was approved in December of 2022. So today I'm asking for approval of the most recent Nuvera letter of support for the proposal along the corridors of County Road 5 and State Highway 15. Within your packet, you will see a copy of the map that they are targeting, which is north of New Ulm also. And we'll answer any questions.
You've heard the request of the administrator. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Commissioner Morrow? Is there a
Second.
Dean, questions? How are we feeling about this?
Positive.
Feeling good? Yes. Well, thank you to Terry and Marie for your work in that area, and Mandy as well. Let's take the roll call.
Commissioner Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Dean,
Yes.
Commissioner Zins,
Yes?
Commissioner Drannell,
Yes.
Commissioner Kolars.
Yes, carries. Thank you.
And I just would like to comment Mr. Greenwood's concerns with the employment items. That's an ongoing issue, as he said, across the state for Public Works Department. And our Human Resources Department has taken the opportunity to look at the different job descriptions and advertisement mechanisms for those heavy equipment operators, and are trying some different ideas and approaches to maybe encourage additional applicants with it, because it is a significant position and there's other opportunities for those individuals to seek.
Thank you. County Attorney Report. Good morning, Michelle.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciated last week the opportunity to meet with our legislators to talk about issues directly impacting the work that my office does. So I appreciate administration setting up that opportunity to meet with those individuals. And yesterday I also had an opportunity to meet with Chief Justice Gilday to talk about issues impacting justice partners and to improve the administration of justice across the state in here in Nicollet County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any questions? I'd be happy to answer those.
Any questions for our attorney on that?
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving along on the agenda, Chair's report. Folks, get ready for your meeting reports. It's been rather busy. Had a radio communications meeting earlier this month. We had our planning workshop on the 12th, which was very well attended, and want to thank Gloria for putting that together for us. On the Area Transportation Committee, would just like to report that 2022 was an historic year for District 7. In fact, $200 million was spread across District 7, which is southwestern Minnesota, and a large amount was the money that's invested on Highway 14 between Nicollet and New Ulm. Highway 14 has 65% of grading finished. The beams were put into place in Cortland at the Cortland intersection on the 12th of January, and it is on schedule, if everything goes as well as we had for this past year, to open in November of 2023, according to those folks who are working on it. So that's really good. Workshop, attended legislative meeting as well, which we need to work on our Zoom with legislative meetings like that because it was tough to hear, I understood, from those who weren't in the building. We had our community health meeting last Friday. Commissioner Morrow was elected as the chair. Commissioner Drantle and I are busy with collective bargaining with 3 different unions here in Nicollet County. And the MVAC report from last night, Head Start is experiencing some enrollment struggles across America. And Minnesota Valley Action Council has 457 slots for children. They're proposing to reduce that number by 20% next year because parents want full day and full week service. So they're going to reduce the class size for better service and have about 90 fewer slots in our 9-county area. I also want to let you know that they are also pursuing new location options in the Mankato area, and I can tell you more after the meeting if you'd like. Commissioner Zins?
I attended the Soil and Water Board, also the land use training as well. Also with you at the Community Health Board, and yesterday was at the Rural Energy Board in Slayton. Not much to report other than one thing I noticed, and something I need to get a little bit more familiar about, but Rural Energy does have the PACE program and they have some funds available that we can, that are commercial accounts in our county are eligible for upgrades to their energy usage. So they have low rate funds or loans available for that. If anybody wants any more information about that or has anybody that they think might be able to utilize that, I can get more information to anybody for that.
Thank you. Commissioner Dean?
I attended the Adolescent Chemical Wellness Coalition meeting. I attended the RETA meeting, the Regional Economic Development Authority meeting, and I was elected chair of that body again. Attended the Mental Health LAC. They're trying to get some new options going there and some more public engagement. I attended the Greater Mankato Growth Board meeting. I was at the Legislative Forum, attended the Brown-Nicollet County Health Board, Community Health Board, and was elected the state rep for that organization. Went to the planning workshop, land use workshop.
Thank you. Commissioner Morrow?
Workshop. Attended a meeting with county attorney and others to talk about treatment court and possible impacts on the county, and those conversations I think will be ongoing. The legislative meeting, Community Health Board. Last night, while you were at MVAC, I think I was at Workforce Development. Talking about the numbers of folks that they're helping and actually the pay increase that folks are receiving as compared to the past. So I guess it shows a strong economic market continuing. And then, yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Drantle?
I attended the presentation from the Region 9 group that went to Germany on the clean energy trip, and it's up on Region 9's website. It's really good to watch if you get a chance to. I attended the planning land use training, department head board workshop, the legislative gig via Zoom, and yes, the volume was bad. Yesterday I was the trooper. I started with law library at 8 o'clock, and by the end of the day and the end of planning and zoning, I was home by 8:30.
Wow.
So we had law library, planning and zoning, and union negotiations in the middle. It was a busy day.
It's been getting busy, hasn't it? Yes.
Yesterday was a
Thank you,
lot got done.
Commissioners. Yes. We understand, I think our new commissioners will be going to the new commissioner school at AMC tomorrow for a couple of days. Mandy, will you be there as well?
Yes, myself and Christy Larson, our Human Resources Director.
So
will
you'll
be
both
there.
be there to guide these folks and learn with them, right?
Yes.
So good luck with that. We're going straight up here. It takes time, as you know, so good luck with that. Commissioner meetings and conferences, for those who haven't had an opportunity, please, and who want to attend the legislative, AMC legislative meeting, that's in February. So please reach out to Sarah to get your registration done, and make sure you have your hotel room booked. I think that the block ended yesterday, right? So hopefully you've all had a chance, those who are able to go.
Mr. Chair, if I may. I just wanted to make one more comment that I just thought of from the Rural Energy Board, which I found interesting, that I think is something that we all probably need to keep an eye on. One of the concerns was some legislation that's coming out there with some of the clean energy rules and the carbon thing. They're closing a garbage burning plant up in the metro area, which is giving a lot of the counties a lot of heartache, because they're utilizing those plants for a lot of their solid waste because they don't have landfills in and around that they can use. So they're concerned with any more of these plants being closed and not being able to have a place to go with their trash, you know. So it's something that we maybe need to keep an eye on, or, I mean, so far, fortunately, you know, the Wilmarth plant is not planning on closing down. Cottonwood County said that their landfill will be full within a couple of years, and they'll be out of place, and there'll be no place to go other than to bury the trash. And a lot of people don't think that's a really good idea either, in spite of the burning, you know. But something that we want to probably look into, or at least.
Very good. Thank you for keeping us posted on that. Appreciate it. Per diem and expenses, Chair would entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Zins has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Dean, second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. We are now adjourning our Board of Commissioners meeting and moving on to the Drainage Authority. Is there an approval of the agenda? Motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
Grantle and Morrow.
Mhm.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, it carries. Approval of consent agenda?
So moved.
Morrow has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Zins, second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there public appearances for the Drainage Authority here today?
I'd like to hear what December 30th meeting was all about, January 3rd meeting, and then I'd like...
Al, would you come closer so we can hear you speak into the mic?
Morning, Lynn.
Morning, I got a cough, that's why I'm covering my mouth. I'll try not to lick on the speaker, but I'd like to hear more about the December 30th meeting of the arbitrator. And then I understand you had a January 3rd meeting, and I'd like to hear what that's all about, and then I probably will have more discussion. And I would love to get together with Commissioner Zins and Doc Dean and discuss this ditch 86A stuff. I know them both. Kurt is my neighbor, and Doc has straightened me out many times.
All right, I'm sorry, Lynn, I had thought you were someone else, and so Lynn Fligge speaking in front of us here today.
Lynn Fligge, 41460 551st Avenue.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I might ask you a question just in response to Mr. Fleege. Would it be appropriate for the county attorney to maybe direct us on how we proceed here?
I think at this point, I don't know if Mr. Fleege has seen that there's minutes from the meetings that were posted that would answer his questions about what happened at those meetings. And certainly, once he's had a chance to review those, if he has individual questions, we could address those after he's had a chance to review those.
I've never seen any minutes, so I don't know what you're talking about.
And there's minutes from the December 30th meeting that are in the packet, and can get you a copy of those minutes.
Well, was there a decision made, or do we have to have another meeting, or are we gonna go to court on this, or?
The minutes from that board meeting reflect the agreement or the recommendation that was made by the attorney hired and was adopted by this board to make a final payment in the case. Correct.
I'm looking at the minutes of the December 30th right now, so give me 1 second. I'm just going to read from them because I think the information should be provided. I'm sorry, looking at, you said, oh, is it in the Drainage Authority meeting? No.
Yes.
Oh,
He's asking about the
31.
December.
It's
oh, it's up
The
on the,
30th.
it's up on the board.
Page 31.
Can you make a copy for Mr. Fleege? Thank you.
And as it relates, Mr. Chair, to the January 3rd meeting, there was no action looking at the minutes taken reference, I don't believe, 86A at the January 3rd meeting. So the action was taken at the December 30th meeting.
So can I provide some information, or should I just direct to the minutes?
I think the minutes would be what would be provided to reflect the agreement that was made to make a payment of $230,000 to Lametti and Sons, because that's the part that was part of the public comment. The rest occurred in closed session
Right.
under attorney-client privilege.
So what I'm taking out of that, you paid the Median Sons off and they're done with us and we're done with them? Is that what you're saying?
That's my understanding. I was not present at that meeting, but that's my understanding in the minutes. Correct.
Well, we're far from having this project done.
And I'd be happy to talk with you and Mr. Greenwood and about what the next steps are to finish out the project.
I mean, we paid the Median Sons off. We're done with them?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Any other questions you have, Mr. Fleege?
So we paid them $2,300,000, and we have a project that don't work. Hello? And we've paid for that already? Something isn't right here.
I don't know that that total is correct. I don't know that it's incorrect either. We could find out what the total was. We were in a mediation. We were all presented with claims, and we presented claims, and we agreed to pay the amount that is reflected there. There are still some steps. There's not, what is it, final certification or some such
Correct.
thing.
And I'm not familiar with all the pieces that remain outstanding.
Right, and there
Yes.
are other pieces addressing the warranties, for example, that are part of that, and I think Mr. Fleege addressed part of what you're asking now. There are some steps that still need to be taken, and I think we've discussed in open meeting the virtual impossibility of doing the final testing on the pump, so those things still need to happen. The dry weather, in part, preventing us from even running the pumps to do the final testing. Beyond that, I don't want to say something that's not accurate, and I think that if the county attorney and Mr. Greenwood are happy to, or available to speak with you. I think that's probably the best way to go, because they have, I would be afraid of saying something about some aspect of the project and then finding out from Mr. Greenwood, no, Terry, that's not exactly how it is. So, Mr. Greenwood, would you be willing to also speak with Mr. Fleege today?
To a certain extent, but I think there's some further discussion that the Drainage Authority and staff are going to have on how we even proceed forward with some of these items. So there's a lot to unpack here yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Mr. Zins and Dr. Ian, I think the other three kind of know the situation. We have a pump station that costs $2,300,000 theoretically. And the Nicollet Sons worked only in winter when everything was frozen, so it took them twice as long. And in summer, they never worked on it. Okay? So now we're sitting here with a pump station that doesn't work. We have a culvert, 3-foot culvert, that's supposed to be, water's supposed to come out here, and the ditch level is a foot lower than that, okay? We have dirt 3 to 6 feet higher than that culvert, so there's no way the hell that culvert's gonna work. Sure, granted, we got pumps that'll pump over the top of it, and they're, if you guys would like to sit down with me sometime, I will start from 2015 when we started this project, because Marie said we got to do something because the old one is junk. So I got involved, and I've been involved since 2015. And this is getting pretty ridiculous because of all the bureaucrat stuff. I'm trying to be kind here, but I'm also very upset right now. If I would take this back to the farmers right now, I would hate to see how many of you would get a call. Because I've been communicating with all the farmers what's going on here. If I tell them that we paid off the project to Nicollet Sons, and the pump station is supposed to be working, my goodness. We've all paid our share of our bill already. I paid $40,000 towards this. I thank you for listening.
Well, Mr. Fleege, I think I would just mention, or ask, do we know that the pump station does not work, Mr. Greenwood?
We know that the jockey pump moved most of the water for most of the summer.
We have 1 out of 3 pumps working.
I'm sorry, we're just trying to record, so Lynn, if you want to speak, that's perfectly fine, but...
Okay, I'm sorry, Jim.
No, it's okay. And we have talked about the need to remove that, I call it temporary,
The temporary berm.
the temporary berm. So we know that has to be done. And we've talked about the potential cost of that, roughly. So the berm has to be removed. The jockey pump worked. We have to do the tests, the final sort of tests on the station, and that requires water.
All right, thank you.
I said water. Did I not say water?
Thank you, Mr. Fleege, for coming forward. And I would suggest, as Commissioner Morrow had mentioned, that you have an opportunity to visit with our county attorney after the meeting today. We appreciate your sharing the information with us, and know that, well, she can explain the lawsuits that were coming from both sides here, and the confusion and the delays that it created. So, are there any other matters to come before the Drainage Authority? I'm looking at Lori. Do you have anything for us this morning?
I do not.
You're here to visit,
I am.
observe. Motion to adjourn the Drainage Authority.
So moved.
Granville has moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Zins. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It carries. Thank you. Thank you, members.